Did you know that your gut wall houses about 70% of the cells that make up your immune system? And that besides the brain, your gut is the only other organ in your body that has its own nervous system. Hi everybody, my name is Guy. I am the founder of a company called Access a Meal. We are in the business of advanced cellular immunonutrition. I hope that you are keeping well and safe during these difficult and trying times. Every day I meet with people who tell me that they are eating healthily and that they're eating balanced meals, lots of fruit and vegetables. When we do nutritional assessments on them, we find out that they're not even meeting their basic minimums in terms of macro and micronutrients. And this really catches people by surprise. And we work with them to address these issues. The problem is that people haven't really been instructed or have the knowledge about nutrition at this level. And this is really important right now because there is a direct link between nutrition and the optimal functioning of your immune system. And immunity is on everybody's minds. When we discuss immunity with people, we find out that people don't actually know how the immune system works and what it takes to make it function properly. And this is more than taking supplements. I see lots of supplements being promoted at the moment with claims about boosting immunity. If your basics in terms of nutrition is not correct, and if you're not getting the right amounts of macro and micronutrients, you're going to be spending a lot of money on supplements with little or no effect. So we see that people don't understand certain key details about nutrition. They don't understand specifics about the immune system, and they don't understand the link between the two. We're not asking people to become scientists, but there are key principles which we should understand. And this is why I'm making this set of video presentations. I hope that you'll find this information to be of value and that this knowledge will better protect you and your family during this period of time. Our bodies have specific nutritional requirements that need to be fulfilled daily in order for our bodies to function correctly. The immune system is one of the key systems that is quickly compromised should these requirements not be met. Even though each person's physiology is different, we do know how to work out what your individual minimum requirements are in order to function properly. So what complicates this issue is that our body's health and operating status is not constant. Some days we function better than others, and we feel this. We often move from a normal state to what we call an essential state. We use this term essential because it means that due to our altered body's functioning, we need a more targeted nutritional package. More obvious examples of an essential state would be pregnancy, recovering from a surgery, or dealing with a chronic condition. However, there are other factors that can push our systems into an essential state, and the resultant changes are a little bit more subtle and harder to see. Stress and the lack of sleep can quickly affect the state of our immune system. Look at what's happening right now. People's lives have been turned upside down because of lockdown restrictions. The resultant stress factors are high, even for the most resilient of people. Studies have shown how psychological stress alters immune functionality. Sleep and our circadian rhythms are strong regulators of immunological processes. Lack of sleep definitely impacts the functioning of the immune system. Research has shown that some parts of the immune function are enhanced during sleep and need a sleep cycle in order to generate properly. What's happening right now is that many people are reporting poor sleep patterns during this lockdown period. And so at a time when we need to have optimal immune system functionality, there are many factors working against it. All in all, most people do not recognize when they get into an essential state. And this has a direct impact on immunity. We'll go into more detail about this in future presentations. You know, we all face many health threats on a daily basis. Every second of every day, millions and millions of hostile bacteria, viruses, and fungi swarm on our skin and invade our inner passageways. The various functions of the immune system, if running properly, are designed to keep us healthy. As if everything our body has to deal with is not enough, we now face a new threat to our health called the COVID-19 disease. And even though at the moment there's an obvious, clear risk to the elderly and people with underlying conditions, make no mistake, when you look at the research and the writings that are coming out from around the world, this is a threat to everyone. And on this point, let me be very clear. The principles of immune nutrition apply to everyone all the time. It does not matter what your age is. It doesn't matter what your level of health is. It doesn't matter what your socioeconomic group is. It applies to everyone all the time. So right now, we've been protected by various lockdown measures. This has placed a restriction on our movements, social distancing, that type of thing. We're familiar with this by now. But what this has not done is made the virus go away. And as the lockdown levels start to ease and we start to integrate more, we stand a much higher risk of being infected by the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So this is the time that we really need to start to focus on enhancing our immunity through nutrition. We need to understand what our bodies need. We need to understand the macro and micronutrient requirements to enhance immunity. And on this point, we use the term enhance deliberately. It is a better way of describing the effect of nutrition on immunity. We want to enhance the process. We do not want to boost immunity. Boosting is a misnomer. We don't want an overactive immune system, and we don't want an underactive immune system. What we want to do is want to have all aspects of the immune system running the way that they should be. So because the COVID-19 disease is an issue affecting immunity at the moment, let's have a quick look at it. From a general perspective, there's a lot to be learned. There's a lot of information coming out. But I'm working within a parameter of generally accepted facts. And I think you might find some of this stuff interesting. So to start with, COVID-19 is the disease caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus. I have lots of people tell me, you know what, Guy, this is overplayed. It's overhyped. It's nowhere near as dangerous as what everybody's making out to be. It's nothing more dangerous than the common flu. So if we look at it initially, you can see why people may think that. I mean, first of all, it's nowhere near as dangerous from a mortality point of view as what other viruses are. If you look at Ebola, Ebola kills about 50% of the people it infects. MERS kills about 30 to 40% of the people that it infects. This virus is nowhere near as contagious as some of the other diseases we've come across. I mean, the figures might be changing a little bit, but right now, the contagious rate could be 1 to 2 people, 1 to 3 people. The common flu, you're looking at about 1 to 1.5, 1 to 2. So it appears to be in the same ballpark. If you look at measles, for example, measles is 1 to 18, and chickenpox is 1 to 12. So definitely when looked at against those other diseases, not as frightening. Also, many infected people show little or almost no symptoms at all. So what's the big deal? However, when we start to look a little closer at this disease and the way the virus operates, we get more of a picture as to why it's so dangerous, causing the worst pandemic this world has seen in 100 years. So this to me is the key point. The virus is new. It has never been seen in humans before. And this means that our immune systems have no memory of this virus. We call this immunologic memory. And as a result of this, our primary immune response takes much longer to identify and fight the virus. What this means is the virus has more time, in effect, to wreak havoc on our system and cause extensive cellular damage. We then see inappropriate immune responses, creating further havoc in the system with the production of more inflammatory cells. All the while, more and more damage is being caused, and in many cases, the severity of the illness has reached the point that it's become critical. In actual fact, the risk of the COVID-19 disease is more serious for any person with a compromised or weak immune system. The weaker the system, the more the risk. It's not just necessarily people with underlying conditions or the aged. This is why we're starting to see models comprising staggering projected numbers for infections. As stated previously, our immune system can be compromised in many ways. Not meeting our daily nutritional requirements plays a significant factor in terms of enhanced immunity. Why would we not be doing everything we could to ensure targeted nutrition right now for ourselves and our families so that we can have an immune system that is functioning correctly? This virus is capable of causing severe disease, not just in the lower respiratory tract, which is usually ground zero, but the disease can ravage the entire body and its systems from head to toe. Because so many people are asymptomatic or present with mild conditions or symptoms, scientists are removing these statistics as a denominator to look at the true impact of the disease. If you take out these statistics, the death rate is actually a lot higher, approaching levels of SARS and MERS. To this point, just recently, Dr. Fauci in congressional hearings calculated that the COVID-19 disease could be 10 times more lethal than flu or the common cold. And we're also starting to see that full recovery is taking a long time, with many people showing symptoms similar to chronic fatigue syndrome for a long period afterwards. Even if we dispute the numbers, what is clear is that when people get sick, they really get sick. This virus is also easily spread. From an infection perspective, this virus has had a rapid worldwide distribution. Researchers at the University of Hong Kong and Harvard released a paper indicating that we could expect anywhere from a quarter of the world's population to a half of the world's population being infected. Neither SARS nor MERS spread as easily or as widely as the SARS-CoV-2 virus has done. In fact, showing it to be more contagious now than the common cold or flu. The infection rate may be higher because so many people have mild or no symptoms whatsoever. So now that we've had a look at the general perspective on COVID-19 and its impact and why immunity is so important right now in the face of this disease, let's look at a couple of things with regards to nutrition and how to enhance immunity. I give a lot of lectures and talks on nutrition. One of the first questions I ask people is, who believes that they are eating healthily? Most people raise their hands and say that they admit to one or two things in their diets that may not be great, but for the most part, they're trying to eat healthily. I then ask, who knows what your individual nutritional requirements are on a daily basis? Some people are not quite so sure. And for you watching, let me ask you a couple of things. What are your macro and micronutrient requirements on a daily basis? Perhaps even more important, what are your children's requirements on a daily basis? In the macronutrients, for example, what is the minimum amount of protein that you need on a daily basis? Is it the same for everyone? How much fat do you need? What fat should you avoid? How much of that fat should you consume? What are the carbohydrates that you need? How much fiber? Are we having too much sugar or too little sugar? Basically, what I'm asking is, what are your basic minimum requirements for nutrition on a daily basis? And when I ask these questions, very few people know the answers specifically. What we need to understand is that, in effect, our body is a very complex machine. It has very specific minimum requirements in order to function correctly. And this is specifically true of the immune system. And the thing that's a bit scary is that people do not know what these minimum requirements are. People can tell me how much it costs to drive from one point to the other, how much petrol it will take, but they don't know what their body needs to function on a daily basis. And it goes beyond eating lots of fruit and vegetables. People often cite this to me as evidence of them eating healthily. What is the net return from the food that we are eating? And this is important because not all foods are created equal. What is the net return at a cellular level? Because that is where nutrition actually takes place. How is the food that we're eating going to impact our nutrition at a cellular level? So what we're saying is that we need a more targeted approach towards food. Because not providing our bodies with the required essential nutrients on a daily basis will very quickly put our body into an essential state and compromise the immune system and other body functions. Let me give you an example of this targeted approach, and we'll deal with this more in other presentations. So protein is one of our most important macronutrients, particularly in terms of its impact on the immune system. Dietary protein is broken down into amino acids, which in turn create new proteins for system functioning. Immunoglobulins are produced in the primary immune response. This is the immune response that deals with new antigens threatening the body. Studies have shown that immunoglobulin production is impaired with inadequate dietary intake. I have people tell me that they're getting enough protein on a daily basis, and they cite the amount of meat that they eat as verification for this. But what they fail to understand is that meat is not protein. Meat contains protein. A filleted chicken breast, 100 grams of filleted chicken breast, contains about 25 to 30 grams of protein only. So it's more than what is consumed. And we're talking specifically about protein right now. The targeted approach is to evaluate the protein source and look at what the actual net protein gain is, because this will impact the amino acid gain. This is where we look at the bioavailability of food. The higher the factor of bioavailability, the better we are able to deliver nutrition at a cellular level. So as a matter of interest, chicken is good, doesn't necessarily have the best bioavailability in terms of protein with a factor of only 75. That's not a percentage, and we'll discuss bioavailability at a later presentation. But chicken has a bioavailability of around 70 to 75. So it's the protein package. What does that protein deliver at a cellular level? And this is what becomes important when we start to assess the food that we actually take in. And this is what we talk about when we talk about targeted immunonutrition. We're looking at foods that specifically target the enhancement of our immune system at a cellular level. In closing, perhaps I could ask you to just consider this. There are many things that we do not have control over in terms of our body function. We do have control over our nutrition, and we can definitely enhance our immune function with targeted macro and micronutrients with high bioavailability, ensuring nutrition at a cellular level. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. My intention is to produce a number of videos dealing more specifically with various aspects of the immune system and how specific aspects of our diet relates to the correct functioning of those elements of the immune system, and also dealing with general nutrition issues as well. If you have any questions, if you feel that you need nutritional help for yourself or your family, please contact me. My contact details are provided. Something to think about, which we'll discuss in our next presentation. We've discussed today that dietary protein is a critical element in enhancing the immune system. Our immune system contains 4 basic elements to it. One is innate immunity, one is adaptive immunity, there is the primary response and the secondary response. How does dietary protein impact our innate immunity? Until the next time, be safe. Thank you very much.